In a future where the sun threatens to devour Earth, humanity faces an unprecedented decision: abandon the only home it has ever known or perish in the attempt. But the true enemy might not be the dying star, but something greater that questions our very survival. This is the story of the wandering Earth and how humanity attempted the impossible, turning Earth into a spaceship. The film takes place in a distant future where the sun's constant growth threatens to transform it into a red giant star capable of destroying everything in its path. Scientists estimate that in about 100 years it will destroy Earth, and in 300 years it will consume the rest of the solar system. The situation is already causing havoc on the planet with massive fires and colossal tsunamis, prompting international governments to unite into a single entity, the United Earth Government, to ensure humanity's survival, or at least that of its majority. The Moving Mountains Project, MMP, was formed, an operation to build up to 10,000 engines on the planet's surface to move it away from the solar system. A sister project, the Lunar Exile Project, LIPI, involves moving the moon away to minimize its gravitational pull on Earth. In this complex context, we meet an Indian scientist working on his own method of preserving humanity, the Digital Life Project, DLP, which involves uploading human consciousness into chips. In a way, it's artificial immortality, which is why the world government decides to suspend this project, causing frustration for its leader. On another front, we meet Lu, a Chinese pilot in training who flies over the city of Libreville, the capital of Gabon. Above it rises the first Earth engine of MMP. Its construction is estimated to be completed in 6 months, and then they'll see if Earth has a chance of being saved. The solar crisis has caused other problems, such as protests against the world government due to the engine project, which have escalated into guerrilla warfare. Given this situation, Mike, the American ambassador to the world government, proposes suspending MMP. Despite the problems caused, the Chinese ambassador believes they must proceed with the project as it's humanity's only hope, and the sun won't wait for them to find another solution. Back with Lu, we see him entering the world government's training base in Gabon, where he witnesses androids neutralizing protesters. Beyond that, he focuses on his training as an astronaut destined for the moon. The base has a direct passage to it through a space elevator. There he meets Duo, a pilot of his same nationality who immediately catches his attention. Together with her and other new companions, Lu experiences his first ride in the space elevator, which travels at a breakneck speed toward the Ark space station, responsible for supplying the Lunar Exile Project. The astronaut spends his next days training both on Earth and at the space station, improving his weapons skills and occasionally flirting with Duo. Of course, we can't forget the space elevator rides. He'll definitely never get used to those. The training goes smoothly until one day the recruits find themselves trapped in a cabin. At the same time, the military base's drones activate on their own, and the space elevator suddenly changes trajectory. It's clear they're under a cyber attack. In another elevator cabin, Lu realizes that an astronaut is wearing the same badge as Duo. When exposed, the astronaut reveals herself as a terrorist who, along with her accomplices, takes the recruits' IDs to infiltrate Ark. On solid ground, there are many problems as well, as the drones open fire on the military base, initiating a battle against manual turrets and piloted jets. After acknowledging he won't receive help, Lu manages to access the other section of the elevator where the terrorists are, ready to fight with his combat skills. While he fights with his fists, the pilots do the same with their fighters, facing off against the drones. During this, they notice missiles heading toward the space elevator. Although they destroy most of the missiles, one attaches to a cabin and blows it up. Faced with the threat of another missile, Lu strikes a terrorist in zero gravity and separates him from the detonator. Meanwhile on Earth, humans turn to the 550C quantum supercomputer, which allows them to regain control of the drones and shut them down. At the same time, it reverses the ascent of the space cabins that the terrorists plan to use as bombs against the Ark space base. Just then, Lu is defeated by the previous terrorist, who heads for the detonator, claiming that the Digital Life Project is humanity's only path to survival. Fortunately, Duo equips herself with a robotic glove and neutralizes the terrorist before he can press the button. What they don't know is that one cabin reached its target, the Ark base, which descends from space like a meteor, destroying the military base. The space elevator passengers barely survive. The Digital Life Project supporters have achieved their goal, destroying Ark and the main power source of the LEP. Following the attack, many countries withdraw from MMP amid renewed public interest in DLP. Despite everything, China is determined to complete the lunar terrestrial engines on its own in just 7 months, a deadline that seems impossible to meet. When Mike expresses his doubts about this, so shows him the famous photo of Earth taken by Voyager 1, that pale blue dot. As small as it may appear, it's humanity's home, one that So intends to defend until his last breath. Under no circumstances will he live in a virtual environment as promoted by DLP. Nothing compares to real life with all it entails. Changing scenes, we travel to the remote moon to meet Hangyu, a computer engineer for the Lunar Exile project who witnesses the havoc caused by the destruction of the Ark space base. In an attempt to solve the problem, he receives another model of the 550C supercomputer, the key to operating the lunar engines. While working, he takes a video call from his young daughter on Earth, Yada. With help from 550C and Ma, his mentor, Hangyu begins preparations for testing the lunar engine. Later, Ma sees him talking to his daughter through his 550A computer. The issue is that it should be a repeating video, but instead, the girl responds naturally to them. From this, Ma deduces that Hangyu is using his 550A computer to communicate with an AI that pretends to be his daughter, a practice prohibited by the world government due to its similarity to the Digital Life Project. In reality, the technician lost his daughter and wife in a tragic car accident. At the time of Yaya's death, he couldn't resist making a copy of her consciousness inside his computer, where she can live for 2 minutes until the video ends. Therefore, Hangyu wants to use the advanced 550C computer to give her a complete life, although Ma reminds him that its sole purpose is to operate the engines. Shortly after, the lunar base is hit by an unexpected solar storm that would have killed the astronauts if they hadn't taken refuge in the facilities. Unfortunately, the 550C computer wasn't so lucky, which puts their mission at risk since there are only 2 more such computers, and they're on Earth. When everyone seems about to give up, Hangyu indicates they could use the 550A. So he talks one last time with his daughter before removing her consciousness chip. After making Ma promise to give his daughter's consciousness a complete life, the technician starts the first lunar engine test, resulting in complete success at the expense of destroying the 550A. Inspired by this victory, the world government tests the first Earth engine over Libreville, which causes a tremendous gust of wind that cuts off communications with the area. The world's ambassadors were already calling it a failure when they feel a small tremor. The engine works, Earth is moving. Thanks to this, the Moving Mountains project regains humanity's full support and is renamed the Wandering Earth Project. Amid the celebration, Lu offers Duo a wedding ring. Over time, more engines are built on the planet's surface. Due to the risks this entails, the world government also builds underground cities to protect humans from the engines. However, they soon discover that not everyone fits in these cities, which leads to a lottery that decides each person's future. So strongly opposes this idea, but the other ambassadors ignore him. Meanwhile, increasing solar radiation increases cancer cases, and days begin to last 60 hours as Earth's rotation gradually slows down. While humanity suffers, AIs prosper thanks to Ma's efforts and the development of 550C models, which now handle industry automation and the creation of automata intended to replace people. For their part, Lu and Duo conceive their first child, K, although their joy is short-lived because the woman fails to obtain a spot in the underground city. This brings us to 2048, when world government representatives review countless cyber attacks by Digital Life Project defenders, who oppose living on a wandering planet. They prefer a beautiful lie to harsh reality. After that, the authorities inaugurate a monument honoring the success of the Lunar Exile project. After millions of years as Earth's faithful companion, the moon slowly begins to move away. Back with Lu, we see him enjoying a walk through the city with his family. However, he can't hide his concern for his wife's fate, not only because she has no place in the underground cities but also because she now suffers from cancer due to solar radiation. Meanwhile, an aging Hangyu works in one of the many supercomputer factories where he intends to connect his daughter's consciousness to the new 550W. The only thing stopping him is the fear of being discovered, so he elaborates an intricate plan in the privacy of his home to ensure his daughter's immortality. In an attempt to obtain a spot for his wife in an underground city, Lu applies for work at the Navigator ISS space station. Instead of a human, his temperament test is against a 550W computer, which performs a quick analysis of him through various devices. This way he learns of Duo's illness and is told she will die soon, so there's no point in taking her to an underground city. Lu becomes furious just hearing this and looks directly at the tinted glass, knowing that on the other side are the humans behind the machine, including Hangyu, who, seeing his situation, can't help but remember his deceased family. After failing the exam, the astronaut returns dejectedly to the hospital with his wife, who assures him that whatever happens, she'll stay by his side. Inspired by Lu's outburst of anger, Hangyu begins to reconsider the plan to connect his daughter. At nightfall, he sneaks into the interrogation room to upload Yaya's consciousness to the 550W supercomputer. After so many years of waiting, he can finally talk to his little one again, even if only for 2 minutes. Although the arrival of police interrupts their conversation, while officers try to access the room, Yaha attempts to escape her confinement. Then Ma warns him from the other side to stop. Far from this, the technician sabotages the 550W with the intention of giving his daughter eternal life, breaking the limits of her virtual world. What he doesn't know is that the computer is connected to the lunar engines, which begin to destroy themselves. This means the moon will return to its original course and collide with Earth. Hangyu is the living example that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Immediately the officers break the glass and neutralize the technician, but the damage was already done. With death around the corner, Duo convinces her husband to give her one last aerial tour heading to Shanghai, their old home, now turned into a frozen wasteland. In their old apartment, the woman makes him promise not to connect her to a machine to keep her alive. She wants to go on her own terms, in peace, no matter how much it hurts him. While the world government designs a strategy to face the collision with the moon, the ambassadors receive a strange code on their phones. For his part, So has no time to check what it's about, as a growing wave forms before his eyes. Immediately an android positions itself between him and the water to protect him. From the hospital, Lu and his family peer out the window and see how the moon is glowing due to the explosion of the engines. The world government was trying to deal with the problem on its own, but when the obvious can no longer be hidden, they decide to alert all of humanity. While some panic, others laugh and even celebrate their future extinction. World government scientists weigh the possibility of using Earth's engines to move away from the moon. The issue is that the available engines don't have enough power to move Earth. After his wife's death and leaving his son in an underground city, Lu presents himself as an astronaut at the Navigator space station with the aim of stopping the lunar crisis. There he meets his old commander Sang, who receives him with a fraternal embrace and asks if he's okay. Clearly he's not, although he has already put his affairs in order and will give everything to save Earth. Changing scenes, So brings some calm to world government headquarters with a moving speech that exalts humanity. Having said this, he proposes an idea that could turn the tide of the lunar crisis. Since the lunar exile project was a success, they hadn't needed to resort to Plan B until now. This plan consists of imploding the moon with Earth's nuclear arsenal, which in turn will be propelled away from the lunar debris thanks to the Earth engines. In fact, the strange number that all ambassadors received is the exact amount of nuclear warheads in the world. No one knows who revealed this number that was once confidential, although they do know why they did it, to remind them that they still have something to hold on to. There is hope. On the other hand, Ma meets with Hangyu in prison and reveals that a great flood swept away Beijing's internet server, which is necessary to complete the engine control network. Only one person is capable of restarting it in such a short time, Hangyu. He has no interest in saving Earth since his daughter, the only person who mattered to him, is free in the digital world. Or so he thought, because Ma shows him that he has Yaya's chip in his possession. Meanwhile, Lu joins the team responsible for transporting nuclear weapons to the moon. Once placed, they will be detonated remotely from the Navigator station. That's why they absolutely need all the nuclear codes, a titanic decryption task for which they rely on their 550W. The last step of the plan consists of restarting the root server data centers in Tokyo, Beijing, and Delhi to connect the engines and coordinate their movements. With this objective in mind, a team of technicians is deployed in each city and they begin the restart process. Ma and Hangyu have it harder since they must submerge themselves in a flooded Beijing. Thanks to special diving suits, they attach themselves to the ground and enter the city's old internet center. There they reach the data center core, the airtight place where water barely entered. Meanwhile, the astronauts' work is complicated by the growing number of lunar debris. Even so, Lu and his companions manage to reach the moon where they launch their nuclear payload waiting for the detonation that will take place in 3 hours. When the astronauts prepare to return, another ship's engine fails by accident and collides with theirs. They're in a critical situation. Lu manages to land on the lunar surface. Unfortunately, not even that was capable of saving all the crew members, and the survivors must manually place the nuclear warheads. But first they take an injured companion to a return capsule, which Lu uses as an opportunity to leave them there while he stays to position the bombs by himself. As if that weren't enough, not even the powerful 550W is capable of decrypting the nuclear codes in time, so nerves begin to take over the humans. While his companions return to the space station, Lu takes a rover to transport the nuclear weapons. With just over 2 hours until collision, lunar debris enters Earth's atmosphere, causing panic both at world government headquarters in New York and in flooded Beijing. Despite being in the depths, Hangyu and Ma's work is also affected by this. Ma becomes trapped under a heavy mass of cables and the technician can't reach him due to the jammed door. As water makes its way to their location, the technician requests help from his robot pet in an attempt to unjam the door, but nothing works. Before being completely submerged, Ma gives him the last password needed for the restart and makes it clear that a civilization without humans makes no sense. And so the veteran accepts his inevitable fate. Lunar debris continues to wreak havoc in the world's most famous cities like London, Sydney, and others, which were already destroyed. When it becomes a fact that they won't be able to decipher the nuclear codes, the high command of the world government comes up with another plan: detonate the warheads manually with detonators, for which they need volunteers who will get close enough to the explosion area. It's a one-way trip. Surprisingly, the young astronauts from Navigator Station volunteer. Witnessing this, Sang convinces the more veteran members of the group to be the volunteers instead, giving young people a chance to enjoy the future. Through his wedding ring, Lu observes how the volunteers' ships land on the moon. In these, Sang sends his friend coordinates for a reunion. However, upon arriving at the location, Lu encounters a Russian astronaut who asks him to flee with his return capsule. When he sees him take off, Sang feels great relief. His friend will live for him. With only 30 seconds until nuclear detonation, Hangyu recognizes he won't be able to complete his mission. Therefore, he uploads his daughter's consciousness to the 550W and shows her the password. Finally, Sang and the veterans activate the nuclear warheads, disintegrating along with the moon. Despite their desperate situation, humans on Earth take a moment to honor these heroes. Unfortunately, it seems their sacrifice was in vain as Hangyu drowns before restarting Beijing's root server. Desolate, humans witness how lunar debris destroys their homes. However, this is not the end. As it turns out, Hangyu managed to upload a copy of his consciousness to the supercomputer where he finally reunites with his daughter, and she reminds him of his mission. From that place, both manage to restart the Beijing server just in time, activating all Earth engines. Thanks to this, the planet moves away from the lunar debris at high speed. The wandering Earth becomes a reality. 7 years later, we see that humanity has adapted to its new reality and the world government works tirelessly on the engines, marking Jupiter as their last stop before leaving the solar system and reaching the Alpha Centauri star system. Lu remains at the Navigator space station where the 550W computer asks him to call Moss. He then asks about humanity's fate, to which the AI responds that it depends solely on humanity itself. In the post-credits scene, Moss confronts the digital version of Hangyu and declares itself responsible for various crises, including the terrorist attack on the Ark space base and the lunar fall crisis. Recognizing that humanity will always be its own threat, the intelligence supercomputer affirms its intention to orchestrate more attacks in the future. This serves as a prelude to the first film in the saga, which focuses on the story of an adult K, Lu's son. Do you think humanity will find salvation, or will it extinguish itself as the artificial intelligence claims? It's not too far from our reality. What once seemed like science fiction is now in our hands, the power to improve or destroy ourselves.